Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshak if you want to call me by my in-game name. And in this video, we're going to be covering the top 10 legendaries in Hearthstone as of now. So keep in mind that these is a Journey to Un'Goro updated. As new cards get released, I will have to update this video. And also keep in mind that keeping this list to 10 cards was very difficult. When we cover the 10, I actually have a few other cards that I want to note as being very good that were very close to meeting the cut, but I found that these cards are found in more decks than the other particular cards, or the other particular cards are only found in one specific deck, which makes it really hard to call them like the best of the best or the top when it really only fits into one deck and another card could do it and it'd be close enough. So keep in mind that this is my top 10. If you disagree, feel free to let me know, but again, we could only bring it down to 10, so it was kind of hard to get, you know what I'm saying, there's just so many. So for starters, we have Elise the Trailblazer coming in at our number 10 slot. She has fit into more and more decks. When the Journey to Un'Goro was originally released, she was found in, she was actually tried in Handlock, which didn't really work out too well because Handlock wasn't very good. And then she was found in Lyra Priest, where you could actually Shadow Visions the pack, and people were like, oh shit, this is good. And then it was found in Dragon Priest 2, because Dragon Priest also runs Shadow Visions, and it added additional value there. Then it was found in now Control Mage. People are running it in their Taunt Warrior. People are running it in also their Control Shaman lists. So this deck is seeing more and more play, and is just a very popular new legendary that's found in a variety of different control decks. So overall, definitely one of the new top 10 best, in my opinion. Heading on to the next one, we have Blood Mage. This is not a new legendary by any means, but is a legendary that fits into a variety of different decks, whether you're talking about Shaman, Druid, Mage. It's one of those neutral legendaries for it kind of fits the slot. It's also a vanilla, so it's not going anywhere, which makes it a little bit higher up on the scale, because some legendaries, you know, it fits in one deck and one deck only, and after the rotation it's gone. So I based these cards off not only their ability to fit into multiple different decks, the fact that they're neutral legendaries, so you can put them into different classes as well, and the fact that you don't have to disenchant them or worry about them being set off into wild mode after a given period of time. So I kind of took all of these things into account when picking this top 10 list. And again, my top 10, guys, I know that some of you are going to disagree, and will let me know in the comments, but don't be too mean about it. I think I did pretty good in regards to how many legendaries we have. And picking out these. So again, fits into a variety of different decks. Very good as that. Moving on to the next, we have Lyra. So this is one that again fits only into Priest, but it's one of those cards that if it doesn't die, very similar to Fandral, it's such a nuisance, because the Priest spells, believe it or not, after a million of them being generated, happen to be pretty good. So again, very similar to Fandral, stays on the board. The value that this generates is insane, whether you're combo, and as we know, most Priest spells are fairly cheap to cast, so they're comboing anywhere between, let's say, 2 to 4, maybe even 5 Priest spells in one turn, generating more and more. And whether they're healing themselves, taking your cards, shuffling stuff in their deck, shuffling cards that are your deck into their hand, or not shuffling, taking cards from your deck to their hand, like Thought Steal, Potion of Madness, it's just crazy. So again, Lyra has seen a lot of play. Plus, she fits into Dragon Priest, she fits into Miracle Priest, she fits into Control Priest, whatever priest you want to build, she fits in the deck. Whether or not you have a bunch of spells or not, your opponent's going to go way out of his way to kill this card. And most of the time, they're going to extend more resources than she's actually worth, whether or not you have combo cards for her regardless. Again, very, very similar to Fandral in the effect that if it sits on the board, you're going to get value, and if you don't, your opponent's going to go like, oh shit, I gotta kill that immediately, and then just start swinging all this shit at it, and you're just like, hey, lamau, you just wasted like 2 direct damage spells, or like a fireball on it, and I didn't even have anything. Moving to the next one, we have Sherazin. So I think this is a card that's very interesting, and you probably weren't expecting in the top 10, but it's a card that fits so very well in Miracle Rogue that it's kind of hard. There's no replacement for this guy in Miracle Rogue. When you build Miracle Rogue, you put in Sherazin. If you don't have Sherazin, you shouldn't build Miracle Rogue, because there's just no ability like this guy that he just keeps coming back if you play 4 or more cards per turn, and that's pretty easy for a Miracle Rogue, given that they can auctioneer, prep, coin, backstab, and do all the crazy shit. So, not that this guy fits in a whole bunch of different decks, and not that he fits that he's a basic card and he's not being ever gonna not rotate into wild. He will eventually, but it's the fact that there's just no replacement for this guy. It's just his ability is so just him that it's impossible to get around not playing him in your Miracle Rogue. I mean, granted, you can just not play him, but your deck will be that much worse. There's no, you can play, like, you don't have Edwin, you can play Questing instead, stuff like that. Even though Edwin's very important, I would have to say I'd rather play a Sherazin than an Edwin sometimes, depending on the meta. So, very good card, and yeah, I like it a lot. So, moving to the next one, we have Aya. So this is a card that is a staple in every single Jade Druid deck, whether you're playing Rogue, which is something I would do. No, Rogue isn't very popular, but I mention Rogue because I like it. But more so Druid or Shaman. Those are the main Jade classes that you're going to see, and this card is an absolute staple in the deck. And on top of it being a staple, it does what it does so damn well. Like, you're able to basically get a 5/3 body from a 6-drop, and then you're able to summon a Jade Golem when it comes out, and then summon a Jade Golem when it dies. On top of that, it's a Death Rattle, which means it's able to be brought back with cards like N'Zoth. And it's also able to be generated with cards like Journey to Below. So the fact that this fits in, again, different classes, fits in all of the decks perfectly, the Jade decks, and even if you're not even playing like a full-flown Jade deck, like let's say an Elemental Jade like Shaman, this fits in there just fine as well. So it's just a card that has a lot of flexibility, and it's so powerful in the respective deck that it belongs. So definitely fits into our 5 slot, definitely. Next one, not a card that a lot of people were expecting. When it came out, it was actually, over the course of time, has gained more and more popularity. I think it's hit its peak, and now it's kind of on the, either at the top or starting to hit the downfall. But it's a card that the Murloc package, the double War Leader, double Charger, is just so powerful. Fits into, of course, Paladin decks, aggressive Paladin decks. It fits into Token Druid. It fits into Tempo Rogue. At sometimes it even was put into Pirate Warrior. It was called Water Warrior. So very interesting card that you would see coming out of nowhere, and then it kind of, you know, we've seen it now, but at the time when it was first released, it wasn't really seen at all, and then people started putting that water package, and now it's grown in huge popularity. And again, the fact that it's a neutral card, it fits into a whole bunch of different decks, and it's powerful is why it's on our list. Can't argue with that. You can't argue with it. The next one's going to be a card that I'm sure you've expected. Fits well into Paladin, fits well into Taunt Warrior, and sometimes even found in Druid. It's the Curator. It's not only a taunt, but it allows you to draw up to 3 cards, which is insane value. 7 mana, 4/6, not the best in stats, but it has taunt, which makes it a little bit better, but you draw upwards of 3 cards. Most of the time it's 2 because it's either a Murloc or a Dragon. The Beast is a new thing that Paladins have been playing in their deck with the, what is it called? The Stampeding Kodo. So everything's a Stampeding Kodo. For those of you who get that joke. But yeah, very powerful card, and not that hard to get. It's from the Karazhan expansion, so you don't actually have to craft it. You can buy it with gold, and I'm not really sure how far you have to get in the Karazhan expansion, though. Might be pretty deep. I don't remember. But anyway, definitely a great card. The next one, these next 3 should tell you something about the meta right now. There's a reason Paladin is the most powerful, and I wouldn't say the most powerful. Paladin is I would have to say, the most popular class right now, and it's definitely one of the top 3 most powerful, if not the most powerful, or top 2. Sunkeeper Tarim, 6 mana, 3/7, taunt, battle cry, set all other minions attack and health to 3. So he's basically, your opponent has a big board, or you have a big board, or your opponent has 2 big minions, you play this guy, and it's just so much value. They automatically have to trade at least 3 minions into him, if they don't have that additional 1 damage, because his health is perfectly statted at 11 and he puts everything to 3, so which means they have to trade at least 3 minions, if not, again, 2 minions and something else. And it also works so well with the Paladin hero power, because you summon a bunch of 1/1s and then you send them to 3/3s and you can go face right away. He only costs 6 mana and you're getting like so much value out of him. Plus he's a 3/7 on his own and he has taunt. Unbelievable card. It's found in aggro, it's found in all versions of Paladin. It doesn't even have to be, you could be running control, it could be running mid-range, you could be running aggressive. All of those decks run Sunkeeper Tarim, and the reason why is he's fucking broken. He's so good. The next one is come on, where are you at? Light Lord. So again, if you're playing Control Paladin or even mid-range Paladin, Ragnaros Lightlord is a card that's been in that deck since he's been out. If your opponent doesn't deal with him, they'll never be able to win. He either heals himself, heals other creatures, or heals your face. It's just every turn he just keeps generating value and you can't stop him. You have to deal with him or you die, and the fact that he gets his ability the second you end your turn is huge. So again, with all of the Paladin legendaries being so good is kind of, I think, why the Paladin class is where it's at right now. Some classes, the legendaries, they can't play them all, but right now you'll find every Paladin legendary in some decks. Like right now in my mid-range Paladin deck, we're running every legendary that Paladin has to offer, which is, again, the only one that we're missing out is Wiggerflame Burn Bristle, but that's just because he didn't meet the top 10 list. You can play a Control Paladin without him, but it's kind of hard to play a Control Paladin without Ragnaros the Lightlord. The card's just so broken. And again, if he sits on the board, it's just so powerful. And the last one, I'm sure you guys can figure this one out. Tyrion. Like, if they don't have a silence, it's GG no re. You drop an 8/8/6/6 Divine Shield, Taunt, Death Rattle, equip a 5/3 Assbringer. You know what I'm saying? So there's just no stopping this guy. Plus, he's a Death Rattle, and the Zoth brings him back. Divine Shield makes him ever so annoying. And what even makes this guy better is the fact that there's that new Murloc out, that 2-drop Hydrologist, that allows you to get Kodo or Redemption more often than not. Because before you play Tyrion, he dies. The only way to really bring him back is N'Zoth, because you wouldn't run Paladin Secrets normally. Now, you have the ability to generate 2 random Paladin Secrets with the Discover mechanic of the new Murloc, and because of that, most of the time you're able to generate multiple Tyrions. On top of that, Stonehill Defender is also a thing, which allows you to discover Taunt Paladin cards. Guess what? 2 Taunt Paladin cards are pretty good. Tyrion and Sunkeeper Tara. You know what I'm saying? So Paladin has a point right now where it's at the tippity top of Mount Olympus because it has the ability to generate so many of these cards, and they're just so powerful at that. Like 2 Tyrions, are you kidding me? So this is my list of the top legendaries right now. Keep in mind, there are notable legendaries that I do want to talk about that were so close to making the list. One of them being Fandral. The only reason I didn't put this in the list is because he's only found in Jade Golem Druid, and even in Jade Golem Druid, he's not a super staple. You can get around not playing Fandral in the deck, and the deck will be good. It won't be as good, but it doesn't impact it as much as you would think. The next card, that just a quick shout out to these guys, Archmage. Overall, very good card. Sits on the board, you win the game. The problem is you can play him in Control Mage, but you don't really need him. There's just other cards right now that are close enough to the power level of this guy. But just, very good card to just acknowledge the Archmage. Next one's gonna be Edwin, of course. And got Patches, of course. These are just notable cards, close to the list. Didn't make it, but good. The reason I don't like Patches because I always fucking draw them. I know that's a pretty bitch reason not to include him on the list, but I'm emotional about this guy. Medivh, seen him a lot, fits into Priest, fits into Mage, of course, and sometimes fits into, there's one other deck. I've seen him in Warlock, not so often, but still. And the last one, the Big Daddy, the Big Bang Boosh. Where are you at, buddy? There we go. Notable cards. Didn't make it to the list, but I needed to mention them because people are going to say something about them. And I just want you to know, I thought about it, but they didn't make the list. Also, keep in mind that I didn't include any of the quest cards. I've just included the minions, but of course, Fireplume's Heart and the Rogue Legendary, the Caverns Below, 2 the quest legendaries that are really good. Again, they weren't minions, so I didn't really want to include them because they're kind of self-explanatory. So, hopefully you've enjoyed our top 10 legendaries, and let me know what you think. Of course, feedback is always welcomed, and if I happen to miss out on anything, or if my list was completely fucking skewed, or if I ruined it towards the end there by including all notable cards, let me know, and I won't do it next time, but I just figured it was worth mentioning for those of you who wanted cards that were really good, right on the crisp, but just didn't make it. So as always, guys, I'm Warshacker Rob, and happy whatever the hell day it is.